to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 10th day of June. Got a great show with you for tonight. Looks like Dan Hurley made the right call and turned down the Lakers job. Lakers was not that not expensive, not as lucrative as one would think to get someone to leave a good Connecticut job there, going for a possible three-peat and taking the Lakers job there. Talk about that. Plus, Boston looks to be in control of the NBA Finals, and it looks like more of a blown opportunity for Dallas if you really analyze this box score. I'll talk about that as well. Mike Tomlin signs a 3-year contract extension. My guy, Ralph Williams, nails it to the T. Talk a little bit about his extension. And, of course, Caitlin Clark got left off the Olympic team, and I'll talk to you about why really it seems like a blessing in disguise, if you ask me, and more. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty, then I'm back here live. Now, I tell you what, I'll start off with the actual games that's just playing over the weekend since I've last saw you all. And I'll say this, I do believe that it looks like Boston is the better matchup against Dallas. Not unless Dallas can just simply make a tremendous adjustment over the next two games. This series, their opportunity was game 2 to steal it, and they simply let it go. But, I mean, Boston didn't really shoot the ball that well compared to what they did in game 1. Down early in that game last night in game 2. And it simply looks like they're probably the deeper team. If you look at matchups by matchups, Lively is a terrible match for this one. Derek Lively, 2 points per game. Both games here not really being able to get inside and get past a Porzingis or Horford. The defense of Boston has really amped up here. I noticed that he did not start, though, speaking of Porzingis. He did not start after an excellent game 1, and it was really a team effort from Boston. I really think that Jrue Holiday, his championship presence has been unbelievable. This game would have been a typical game that last year's Boston Celtics team would have lost. This would have been 1-1 going back to Dallas. Just big plays, chasing guys down at the rim, getting the ball to the rim. I mean, would Jason Tatum have like 4 points or something early on in this game at halftime or something like that? And Holiday has really, really made himself, defense after rim, not giving up fast break points here. In game 2, I mean, Holiday even shot the ball well. 11 for 14, 26 points. Boston +8 in team assists, more passing, a lot of one-on-one pickles. If you saw Dallas, it's at Luka, you take one-on-one, hit a fadeaway. All right, Kyrie, you take one-on-one, hit a fadeaway. Kyrie finished with 16. He needs more, about 25 points, but they've got to get their ball the ball moving more in the perimeter, getting more out of their bigs. Washington, PJ Washington did have 17, but they're just taking bad shots, and a lot of that is really you just got to commend the team defense by the Celtics here. If you ask me here, and listen, here's Shaq after the game here. I guess he's working with ABC also. Here is Shaq after the game here, talking to Jaylen Brown about who should get. Nobody really should worry about who gets what credit. Let's just get the W.
Doesn't matter who's who. Jaylen, I don't have a question, but I'm going to give you some G14 classification information because this will be the last time you see me. It's a riddle. Do not get fixated on useless titles. Do what you got to do. Doesn't matter
NBA
who's
TV.
who or they say who's what. It ain't time for all that right now. Do what you got to do and get it done.
I understand. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
That made sense to you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Shaq said, "You understand that?" And then the other guy says, "This on the NBA TV, actually, post game, I guess." And the guy said, Jaylen Brown says, "You get that?" No, hold on, let's play it again. This is really funny.
Information because this will be the last time you see me. It's a riddle. Do not get fixated on useless titles. Do what you got to do. Doesn't matter who's who or they say who's what. It ain't time for all that right now. Do what you got to do and get it done.
I understand. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
That made sense to you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me break it down. They're trying to separate you and your guy by saying who's better and who better. I'm saying don't worry about useless titles. Who's the man? Don't matter who the man is. Kobe's the man, Shaq the man. It don't matter. I'm getting my 40. Kobe getting his 39. Let's go win these championships.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what that meant.
I agree with that. Yes, sir. I understand.
Because since you didn't understand, I had to break it down to you. Tell him, Grant. Tell him.
Shaq is so funny. Yeah, the media does have a tendency to say, well, really it's his Brown's team or it's Tatum's team, and these two players need each other to play off each other. And now they've got the proper help behind them. Gotta commend the Celtics here, bringing in guys like Drew Holiday, Porzingis, moving off Smart, elevating Derek White into a starting position here. And I'll tell you what, after game 2 loss at home to Cleveland, this team has not looked the same ever since. The way they finish game, their poise in game. Now, I'll say this, they have had an easy ride. They've had a lot of breaks leading up to this series, and maybe Dallas has taken that for granted. But I've mentioned this before, no Jimmy Butler. You got Jared Allen out in the Cleveland series. Halliburton out. I mean, they've had injuries. Now, you could say the same thing. Well, they didn't have the breaks a couple years ago. They've had some injuries leading into that finals against Golden State. You could say sometimes they've had some injuries leading up into that series. Okay. Now the breaks are coming their way. This is theirs to lose. This would be a travesty if they lost this series at this point. I was just looking at Sports Center put out a picture of Luka leaving the game there, wrapped up. He's got something around his ankle. He's got something around his back. He looks like Frankenstein, and I'll tell you, it's I'm surprised. And he still had 30 points and a triple-double there for Luka Doncic. They're going to need more out of Kyrie, more out of Derek Lively, more team passing on the inside. But here's an interesting stat here for this Celtics team to let you know how good they really are playing. Regardless of what the opposition's, this is a very good company. The Athletic put this out. 9 teams in NBA history have begun the playoffs at 14-2 or better. The 86 Celtics, we know what happened with them. They won a championship. The 87 Lakers, championship. The 89 Pistons, championship. 91 Bulls. Man, I forgot they were that good. Championship. 96 Bulls, we know they were that good. 73 wins there. 99 Spurs, that was a half season. I'm not too impressed with that. But the 0-1 Lakers, that was the best Shaq and Kobe team. I think that team right there could have beat any of those Golden State Warrior teams in 2016 and 24. The Warriors in 2017, that was a team that was that I think that was a team that had Kevin Durant on it. I do believe that 0-1 Laker team with Shaq and Kobe, they could have beat that 17 Laker team with Kevin Durant. And, of course, they got to crush the mark by the Celtics. We'll see what happens. They will push back in Dallas. They're going to need some bench help. Just looking at the box score overall, I mean, just absolutely no help. Got way too much that you're trying to put on your starters here. For example, you look at this I got both games in here. I mean, just 2 points there from here we go. Yeah. I mean, you got guys like Lively, 2 points there, 7 rebounds. Jalen Green, 4 points off the bench. Exum, 3 points off the bench. Gafford, only 13 points. 15 points from both of your bigs there. That's not going to be able to cut it there. Kyrie Irving, 16. He needs close to about 25 points. And of course, P.J. Washington, he did shoot 6 for 13, 1 from 5 from 3. They'll shoot the 3 ball better at home. They're just taking bad shots, They're taking bad shots. They're leaning too much on one-on-one basketball. When you get caught up in that, in this high level, whether it's semi-conference finals, conference finals, you can get away with that when you're playing a bad offensive team that's limited, like a Minnesota Timberwolves. When you're playing this team with all their depth and the way they're playing and their health currently, it's not going to play out. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Right now, this is probably a gentleman's sweep looking like for Boston. Not unless Dallas can win these 2 at home and make it interesting, and maybe Porzingis re-aggravates that quad. I noticed his minutes were down. Maybe that was bothering him from game 1 to game 2. Came back down to earth, only had 12 points. We'll see. But it looks like that Boston's simply the better team. They didn't even play good, and they still won. And that's typically not the Boston of the past. There, Pickle says, Celtics out-hustled them. Yeah, I mean, just, ran them down on fast break points. A lot of stops at the rim, a lot of blocks at the rim. Derek White playing really well. But we'll see. We shall see. It's going to be a good game coming up Wednesday at the same time. Okay, another big story here. Lakers get turned down again. Here. And like the Mad New Yorker said earlier, what is good about this job? Here's Mad New Yorker on this program Thursday talking about this Laker job.
Mostly negative until they start winning, then they're positive.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. Even if it's just for a year or two.
And then you can have the owner. Is that a negative or positive situation? So there ain't that many things that say that, except for the money, that say that that's a good situation to be in.
Yeah. And so Dan Hurley does the right thing, turns this Laker job down like I said he should. And I was just reading at what they offered him. And I thought to myself, this ain't worth 12. I think, let me make sure I got this right here. Dan Hurley turned down a 6-year, $70 million offer from the Lakers. Adrian Wojciechowski saws in return to chase a 3rd straight national title there. He turned down $50 million. He turned down a $50 million contract. They didn't turn down. It is being discussed. It is being discussed for him to get a 6-year, $50 million to stay with the UConn Huskies. Okay, so going back to this job that was offered here. All right. $70 million at 11, basically 6 years, $70 million, $11.5 million a year average to get him to leave this job where they have dominated the NCAA tournament the last 2 years, covering the point spread every single game there and winning in fashion. And to go coach a guy like a LeBron James at the end of his career, who's not going to listen to that hard coaching, or an Anthony Davis here, a 30-plus Anthony Davis here, and a bunch of guys that are just basically role players. As I said the other day on Friday's show, he would be good to take over a team, say if Greg Popovich retires, and a team like that, working with a Victor Wembanyama, someone like that, getting him coached up and ready to go, instead of taking on a team like this who has averaging about a coach every 2 years. Who would want to take that job? You know, that is just not a compelling enough offer there at $11.5 million a year to take a job with the Lakers. Mind you, Mike Krzyzewski turned down the Lakers 20 years ago in 2004. I want to say that Shaq Kobe towards the end there, or might have just been Kobe. 8 years, $8 million a year. Now you're saying 20 million or 20 years later, that's just a $3.5 million a year better job for him to leave a job like that he's already got. And well-respected Dan Hurley. I'm looking at a guy like a Steve Kerr who makes about $17.5 million a year. I think they should have offered him $17.5 to $18.5, closer to $20 million a year, at least to get his attention even more than what they had done, in my opinion. It just doesn't seem like a good fit. And listen, I hope this comes up here. So Charles Barkley, and he was right. ESPN sound like Laker TV on Thursday morning, the day before the NBA Finals. And like he mentioned, they got the NHL Finals as well. And they're talking an hour, most of that commercial free, talking about the Lakers offering Danny Hurley the job as if it was a done deal on Thursday morning on Get Up. Let's see if I can find it here. Really funny stuff here. Charles Barkley rips. This is Barkley on with Dan Doncic, who's watched my program quite a few times on the Outkick show here, hosted by Dan Doncic. Here's Barkley. This is really funny. If it'll play. They're playing a commercial here. We'll go ahead and get this thing done. I got it off the Fox News. They actually picked this up. I couldn't find it on YouTube. But he goes in the ESPN sounding like Laker TV there with Adrian Wojciechowski. Kind of have an egg on their face here Monday, if you ask me, folks. It's coming up here in just about 3 seconds.
Jeweler.
I'm not going to lie. I love Danny Hurley. This has nothing to do with
Barkley.
Danny Hurley. And good luck with him if he goes to the Lakers. But I was so with game one of the finals and game one of the Stanley Cup finals coming on, for them to spend the first hour talking about what if Danny Hurley goes to the Lakers, I was so yesterday. I had to turn my TV off. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, this is how stupid they are. I like what y'all got the Stanley Cup finals and the NBA finals. And y'all talk about a team that's irrelevant. And I'm like, that whoever's doing that program got to be the stupidest, most bonehead people in the world. I'm like, no, if he goes, we'll talk about it. But to just go on there and blow air for an hour and then say, oh, by the way, we got game one of the finals coming up tonight. I was like, who in the hell is running their programming over?
That is true. I left my apartment thinking on the way to work, who is running their sports division there? Who is producing these shows to make it a call to go commercial free, bringing out an offer, just an offer about a guy taking a job there. You know, the Lakers and the Cowboys, two teams that have been more up than down over the past 15, 20, or more down than up, especially the Cowboys, for crying out loud. But they know the metrics of the Lakers. They know how much people like to listen and talk about the Lakers, the popularity of the Lakers of the past. Same thing with the Cowboys. You almost want to send, if you're Jerry Jones Pickles, he needs to send Jimmy Johnson royalty checks, right? Send him royalty checks for what they built in the early 90s, because they're still getting way more coverage than they probably should for as good as everybody playing. Same thing with the Lakers. Yeah, they did win the bubble championship, but, two coaches every 2 years. And then you're looking at which Jenny Buss says she wants this coach, and then you hear this coach, and it's all over the place. And it's Reddick, a guy who does a podcast with LeBron James. It's club chaos over there, And I'm so glad that Hurley stayed in college. So maybe college is not totally falling off from the NIL stuff. Pickle says, typical California clowns, soap opera Lakers. And they get a lot of people to buy into that nonsense, too. Oh, man. I don't know. It just strikes me as funny. It really does. I don't know what the deal is with that. But, oh, well. I think they'll probably go back to J.J. Redick. All righty then. Okay, now, interesting story out of Pittsburgh. My guy, Ralph Williams. Man, he is the man, folks. He is the man. He is the man. He is the man. If I can find him here. Ralph Williams, just accurately predicts this. Mike Tomlin signs a 3-year extension, which will make him the coach for exactly 20 years. And as my man, Ralph Williams, longtime radio host in and around the Pittsburgh area, was a guest on the program week before last. Here's him on Mike Tomlin. I actually have that cut here. Listen up.
Something here, Robert.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know this.
Yeah.
The Steeler organization is a good organization, but the problem is they never want to admit when they're wrong. They were wrong about Kenny Pickett. They don't want to admit they're wrong about Mike Tomlin. Okay?
Yeah.
As much as Mike Tomlin has won all the regular season games that he won, okay, he hasn't been back to the Super Bowl since who knows when. I think it was 2009. 2009. Yeah. Okay. And now he's got 3 more years contract extension, which takes him to 20 years. The story I'm getting is I think he's going to step down after 20 years. Say something here.
Yeah. And so he predicted that they did get the 3-year extension done today there. They're just going to be good enough where I don't think they will fire him in 3 years. Pickles says Steelers content with the mediocre coach. 20 years. Bill Walsh said every head coach, the great Bill Walsh formulated the West Coast offense and made it great in the 80s with Montana and everybody in that 49er organization. And he says 10 years, whether you're executive, whether you're a head coach in professional sports, teams seem to shut you out. The message gets stale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought to myself, I never thought about it that way. I never really thought about it that way, but with the intense pressure of the local media, of the fans, the popularity of the NFL. And now he's doubled that. Now he's sitting there. This would be 20 years for Mike Tomlin. And I'll say this. I think that Steelers just wanted to keep up their reputation. I really do. 3 coaches since 1969. And I looked up and looked at the fact that they did fire a coach in 1968. They fired a guy named Bill Austin in 1960. He was like 2-11. And then they later hired Chuck Noll from 1969 to 1991. They hired Chuck Noll, of course, 4 Super Bowls later, Bradshaw, Steel Curtain, just all that. And a couple of, of course, 91 to 07, which Bill Cowher was there less than Tomlin. You know, Cowher won a Super Bowl, went with Neil O'Donnell, though. Won one with Roethlisberger, lost one with Neil O'Donnell. He was there from 07, or from 91 to 07 to 06, technically. And he retired in 2007. And Mike Tomlin from 2007, obviously, he's going to be done here in 27. And by the way, he's only 52 years old. You know, he will be 55. And my guess is he'll probably do TV. He's good. He's got good sound bites and whatnot. He'll probably do TV. He'll get a boatload of job offers, whether it be from CBS covering the AFC. But look at how many outlets are covering games now. I mean, maybe Netflix, Amazon, one of those will probably give him an opportunity. He'll get one of the higher end jobs, though, since for his longevity and whatnot. And the good sound bites, CBS would love to have a guy like a Mike Tomlin. They'll probably kick somebody out and put him in, do some studio work. Or maybe he'll come back to a better situation here, you know. But this says they won't fire him. They'll just let him play this out here, you know. And I do think Ralph Williams was right. And kudos to Ralph Williams. He said it's going to be a 3-year extension. And he says he'll step down. He'll get his even 20. And then he'll be he will be done. Pickle says, make Steeler management look like suckers. You know, they're a team that they're the same team for the last probably 10 years, you know. Average to bad offensive line, play down the teams. But when you think you got them, when you put them as an underdog, especially against a big-time division foe like a Baltimore or somebody like that, they'll beat a Baltimore. I mean, last year, for example, they beat a good Green Bay team, 23-19. You know, when Green Bay was surging. Go on the road, beat Seattle, swept Baltimore. Baltimore had the best record in the league. Ravens swept them, or the Steelers swept them. You know. Beat Cleveland on Monday night. Every Bush League play you can think of. Beat Cleveland, but then they'll go on the road and they'll lose to a team, or they'll lose to a home. They'll lose a home game to a team like the New England Patriots, 21-18, or go on the road and lose to the Colts 30-13, for example. You know, so. But they'll beat a good Ram team 24-17, you know, or get smoked by Houston 30-6. So you never know what you're going to get. Lost at home to 49ers 37, you know. So they end up with 10-7 record last year, and this year they could very well be 10-7 or 11-6. I mean, they will go as far as Wilson. I wouldn't say necessarily Russell Wilson taking them per se, as long as he don't get hurt. As long as he don't get hurt. They're not going to do anything with Justin Fields. From everything I've heard and read about Justin Fields, his fallout, not necessarily a fallout. He had a back and forth with the Nick Foles. Nick Foles basically saying the guy's not listening. He's not taking any advice. Back when he was with the Bears, he was brought here to put in for packages, is what I've read. Talking about Justin Fields per se. Something came up about him doing special teams and running punts back. He says, I didn't come here for that. He's already refused to do that. Very hard time reading defenses. Just grab the ball, hold the ball, take off running. That's what he's going to do. Maybe Arthur Smith can work out something. Maybe he gets in a game 1 or 2 plays a game. If Wilson can just do what Russell Wilson does and not stay healthy, which their offensive line has improved, I'll have to give it to them. I do like their draft pick last year, and I like their draft pick this year even better on their offensive line. This guy from Washington here. You know, they opened up the season at Atlanta. They could very well lose that game. They do not play well. I could see them losing their opener when they should win, right? They'll probably be favored because they got a very good defense up front. Wicked front seven there. Now, Cameron Hayward's holding out, but they're picked at like 7.5 wins. I think they're closer to a 9 to 10 win team due to just their talent up front, the upgrades that they have made. But they're not going to get to the Super Bowl or anything. I mean, this division is tough. It was tough last year. They found a way to make it last year. They always find a way to do just enough where it's really hard to fire Tomlin, you know. But if you're guys like Ralph Williams, he says, hey, listen, you know, it's went stale. It's went stale for a long time. They've been trying to build their offensive line back for years. Now I think they might actually have it built back. But Russell Wilson's in his mid to late 30s, folks. I mean, he's not getting any younger. If he gets hurt, and they let Trubisky, or not, who was it? Let Mason Rudolph go. He's with the Titans. They might sign the third quarterback and bring in Ryan Tannehill, who's still a free agent, former Tennessee Titan, if you ask me. You know. But, I mean, for example, they've got a good bye week in week 9. And then they come home and play at Washington, Baltimore at home. Baltimore, with Steelers having 2 weeks past their bye week, Baltimore could be in trouble there. They play Baltimore better than any team, not having the talent Baltimore does, that I've ever seen. You know, they got to play the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. The last 4 games, yeah, they could very well. They could be in bad shape there. But they also play the Raiders, the Cowboys, who's beatable. The Colts are beatable. The Falcons are beatable. But here's the thing about this team. They'll beat a team like the Chargers on a Sunday, and then they'll turn around and lose to the Colts the next week. You don't know what you're going to get. They have a tendency to play down to teams. You know, I think it was a mistake with Tomlin. They should go offensive-minded head coach, which they probably will in 3 years, and they will hold their streak up. Basically, 62 years without firing a head coach. It's the safest job in the league, man. That's job security right there. I mean, it's like working for the post office. I mean, it's very easy. Probably not going to get fired, not unless you really screw up. You just kind of do your thing, and that's about as mediocre as coach as he's been over the past since 2009. So we're talking 15 years of just total mediocrity there, and average football team play for the Pittsburgh. So, yeah, Pickle says Fields is a Cam Newton 2.0. That's about what he is. Yeah, that is about what he is. If you really think about it, you would have wished maybe they would have went after Kirk Cousins or somebody. You know, a lot's coming on. Now, they did get Russell Wilson for nothing. They got him for nothing. He looked really good at times. Would they go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak there with Denver? This type of offense would fit him. I'm just not sure if he's going to be athletic enough to handle this offense, and is he simply going to stay healthy at this point? All that is just simply $64,000 question with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, moving right along here as the show is. Caitlin Clark, a lot of people making a big deal out of this. I'm telling you, I'm just not quite with, and these are some guys that I've agreed with in the past. Some of the narrative from the national media personalities on Caitlin Clark here. Caitlin Clark left off the Olympic team that is stacked with guards isn't the end of the world considering how close the NCAA season is from the WNBA start. They don't really set up their seasons right. The WNBA should be off just a little bit more. They shouldn't be playing already. They played, almost 20 games or something like that. The WNBA, so first of all, if Caitlin Clark wasn't playing, I wouldn't be talking about it, but she's got such a buzz going. We are talking about it. But it should be after the finals. You shouldn't be playing regular season with the NBA finals are on right now. Go figure. Bad planning. Okay. My point is, this woman was playing in April national championship. Okay. Towards May, think about this. Can you imagine the football player plays national championship game in January, and then the 1st of February, he's already in training camp? For the NFL. You don't do that. The finals are over with in June, right? Here in a few, could be in a week or less, or 5 days if Dallas don't win some basketball games here. And their training camps in October, July, August, September. It's late September, early October. They don't start playing until almost right around Halloween, right? Right around the 1st of November. But the women's WNBA, it's my point is, this woman's fatigued, man. She's fatigued. I do think the fact that she got left. By the way, Angel Reese got left off too. Okay, she actually said she was okay. She could use the rest, and I'll play a clip here right now here in just a few minutes here. She's getting a lot of intense media coverage. She's getting a lot of double teams and triple. By the way, she got triple teamed one time. I was watching the highlight Friday night after doing this event I had to do once I got home. And I saw this highlight online. 3 people were following her out to the 3-point line, 3 women, and she shot the 3 in all 3 of their face, scored 30 points last Friday. And going back to her being left off the air quote Olympic team here as a rookie here. Yeah, I understand she brings a lot of eyeballs to the sport and all that good stuff. And people talk about, what about Christian Laettner back in 1992? I want to say he was a rookie playing with the men's championship team there, dream team there in 92. Well, you could have made an argument, not that they needed it. They average a 44-point wins. They really didn't lead Christian Laettner on that particular team here, So I like the fact that she was, I simply like the fact that she was okay with it. She says, hey, listen, we'll get it back in 4 years. And she's also being left as an alternate. She's being left, and Angel Reese wasn't either. I just think it's okay. I really do. Unlike everyone else who's saying, it may be this, it may be that. There's a lot of people, the coach for the South Carolina Gamecocks was one of the people that picked the players and all that stuff. And I think she needs the rest, personally. I think she needs the rest. And I'm trying to see if I can find this quote here from what she says. And she handles it. She does handle it there with class personification in Caitlin Clark in typical Caitlin Clark-like fashion. But she basically says, she says she's okay with it. She's not gonna freak out about it. Just summing it up, basically what she's saying in a nutshell. She said she really would simply like to have the time off, and I think it's okay. She looks tired. She's not getting her shot off. Don Staley. Yeah, John Staley. Yeah. Don Staley was on there and all that. And, people can say that. I just think it's okay. But here's Shannon Sharp here. He's taking a different approach here. Here's Shannon Sharp. I think this is on First Take.
Stop talking about we trying to grow the game. At some point in time, we've got to stop talking about we trying to grow the game. Because listen, is she as accomplished? Will she ever be as accomplished as a Stewie, as an Asia Wilson? And I believe those two, obviously, they're slam dunk. They're the two best players in the WNBA. Hands down, it is not even close. But are we really trying to grow the game? Because this is the most popular women's basketball player in the world. And it ain't close. They had to move the Mystic game to an NBA arena. Name the time. And I'm going to turn it over to you because I don't want to get long-winded. I want somebody, one of our women colleagues, Stephen A., to tell me when a WNBA game has had to be moved because of a woman player. Just one. Just tell me one. Because I know in her attendance, she's averaging about 17,000. All the other WNBA games in which she's not a participant average about 7. So are we really trying to go the game? Is that what we're really trying to do? Or are we just talking about we trying to grow the game and just bulljive?
And I'm trying to find this take that she had after when she was asked about it, and she was total class personification, where she just takes the high road and whatnot. My thing is, and I'm trying to see this guy that put it out here, if I can find it here off the X-Alp here. But she was saying, I need to get into the weight room. And I thought, yeah, I mean, here it is.
Taylor, what was your reaction when you saw the USA team yesterday, the roster come out?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not kind of hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. We remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director?
Yeah, 4 years. Should be 26, 27. The world's not going to come to an end, folks. More from Caitlin Clark.
Over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break, from Olympic action? Basketball in general, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be really nice. I mean, I've loved competing every single second, but it's going to be a great month for my body to, first of all, get rest and get healthy and just get a little time away from basketball and the craziness of everything that's been going on, and, just find some peace and quiet for myself. But then additionally, a great opportunity for us to work and get better, a great opportunity for myself to get in the weight room, to work on the court and work at things that I want to get better at that I maybe didn't have time going from college to the pro season. So I'm looking forward to it.
So that's exactly what I said, exactly what I thought that she needed to do. Okay. Rest your body. Take a month off. I was just talking about, if you all watch some of the viral video of who was it? Luka Doncic. Sports Center put out him. He's got a big old brace around his back. He's got another like a wrap around his ankle. I mean, it looks like Frankenstein out there. And then there's talk about him playing for the Slovenian Olympic team. These players are often overworked with this stuff. Their bodies are not getting any time to recuperate and get back up mentally and physically. I mean, she's been on TV since early winter, intense games, tournament games, just a lot of NIL stuff. She needs the time off. I'm burning out just watching her. You know, she's been the hype of the discussion for the past 5-6 months, well, the past 2 years, ever since that happened, you know, and like you could tell the smile on her face. She's relieved, and I was relieved for her that she didn't get on Olympic team. You know, let her adapt a little bit to this physicality. I like how she said weight room. We talked about the Michael Jordan analogy with the Pistons knocking him around his first few years and the Celtics knocking him around. We're not saying she has to look like a man, but she can get a little stronger here, get a little quicker, give some more time, do some more exercises, add a little bit to her physical fatigue here, and get herself ready for the next season. They're not going to be that good this year. That's why she was the number one pick. Last I checked, Jordan didn't take his team to the finals, as good as he is. Somebody, I think it was Colin Coward, he mentioned Victor Wembanyama went to a bad Spurs team, and as good as he was at 7'5", they had the same record. As good as she is. So it's a blessing in disguise, if you ask me. I actually care about the player getting better. You know, and I know a lot of people say, well, it's this, it's that. It's good for the game, good for not. I think you're wearing a girl out, if you ask me, as close as this stuff is together. Yeah. And they were trying to bait her into saying something negative, and she took it right. She took it right. And quite frankly, I know that she's a little bit irritated, but I think a little annoyed she didn't get on. But I think about 75% of her brain's like, man, let me catch my breath here. Let me spend some of this money I done made, and let me just get my mind, body, and spirit right. And eventually, she'll be a force to be reckoned with here in the future, in my opinion, on Caitlin Clark here. The gift that keeps on giving here for Sports Talk Radio, if you ask me. All righty then. Darren Waller retired. The Giants tight end retired today. And, you know, I had a feeling he was going to do it. He had been talking about it. I remember when the Giants made that trade last year, and I talked about this with the Mad New Yorker. I thought, man, you know, this guy was good in his time, but he was injured in 22, didn't play much last year. Now he is officially retired here. And the Giants here, and I know they had the 6th pick last year. And I was thinking to myself, and I mentioned this, that at that 6th pick, if there's any way, now I understand you have to have a partner, okay? Is there any way they could trade down and simply get, I think Bowers went, what did he go, 13? He went 13 to the Raiders. That was the tight end out of Georgia, Brock Bowers did. And I thought he would have been perfect, even though I knew if Waller would have stayed, it still would have looked good for the Giants. He would have been really good for whoever they got at quarterback. Of course, we know who it's going to be anyways here. But I just thought, man, for my Damn, I almost forgot the name of for their quarterback here. Now, I'll say this. That being said, they did end up getting Malik Neighbors, who was just absolutely killing it there with Daniel Jones. I don't know what Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito somehow still on the roster, and Nathan Rourke here, whoever that is. Now, that being said, Bellinger's not a bad tight end, but man, it would have looked good if you would have got a Brock Bowers here. But again, with the Malik Neighbors, okay, and I tell you, and plus he had some head injuries. Wallard also had some drug problems he was getting past, and he had a lot going on, Darren Wallard. But he had his moments there. I think he won comeback player of the year a few years ago. But I'll say this. Neighbors, I mean, the sky is the limit if Daniel Jones can get healthy and get him the ball. Usually when you light this Giants team off, like we've wrote them off in the past, when I least expected in 2007, when you least expect them to do anything, that's when they'll do something. They'll creep up on somebody. Now, that may not be the case this year. And Brian DeBall may be in trouble, even though he got off to a great start. Who thought he would do anything that year that they went to the playoffs? And knocked out went to Minnesota and beat the Vikings. But I'll tell you what, Neighbors, now, of course, it's just mini camps. There's no pads. But just watching this guy, you just got to throw it up to Neighbors. And Jalen Hyatt, he has supposedly made big jumps. Former Tennessee Vol player there at wide receiver there. He's considered a backup under Neighbors. He's not considered one of the starters. You got Slayton, Wardell Robinson, who absolutely came out of nowhere a few years ago. So, and then you got Singletary there. Singletary at running back. I mean, they've got a decent defense, folks. Remember, they made a big move here and got Brian Burns there on the outside there to complement Kayvon Thibodeau. They're a pretty good pass rush. They're going to be a much better team than people think. I think they could possibly be a 500 team here and be in a lot more games. Like I said, when you write them off, they're going to be pretty good. So, love for them having to trade down and got Bowers, but Neighbors did not expect him to be there at 6. I thought probably would go 5 if they didn't go offensive lineman for the Chargers. But either way, the Giants going to be in good shape. If they don't, they're going to go after a quarterback next year. They could not make a move on Jones this year. The cap hit was just simply too much to swallow, as we all as you've heard me predict on this program. So, listen, folks, later on this week here, obviously I'm going to have the Mad New Yorker. Going to be able to working on getting some more guests here on the program. A friend of mine, Scott, let me make sure I got Scott's name right, from the South Florida Tribune. Let me make sure I got Scott's last name right here. Okay. It's just Scott at the South Florida Tribune here. I'm talking to him with the Ralph Williams show here. Met him through there. He covers the Marlins, covers the Dolphins. May try to get him on here, get his opinion on the weight loss of Tua. Is it too much? Will Tua get hurt? Will the Dolphins make the playoffs this year? What does he think about the expense that they're paying at the wide receiver position there with Waddle, with his extension? Now Tyreek Hill's big money coming up here. Hopefully to get him in there and talk to him later on this week here. Okay. I've got couple other guests I'm trying to get back to me. So this could be a very good week here, folks. A very good week here for Sports Scope here. So just stay tuned. We may have some surprise guests. I'm working on getting some big guests here to come on. So either way, I'll be back here tomorrow, not unless something comes up here. We will check out everything. Yeah, from the South Florida Tribune here. And I want to make sure, let's see if I can get Scott's last name here, since I'm going to unplug the guy here. And I met him through Ralph Williams. And let's see, Scott McGrath. And, been around for a long time. Co-host of Exchange of Sports, the WE network here. Very well known here in the South Florida area. And I told him I was just considering moving to Florida. Scott's doing the show right now. So hopefully I can find a way to get him in. Maybe I may have to. He's big into baseball, knows a lot about the Marlins and whatnot. He's got a show on now, but I'm not sure if it's on 5 days a week here. Scott's also a Detroit native. I can talk a little bit about Detroit, but I got, a lot of good Detroit guys here already. So just another good filler here to bring on the program to get a little bit more insight on the AFC. I would like to have a representative for all 32 teams. That's my goal. So I'm working on that. So he's one guy I'm going to try to get on at some point this particular week, hopefully tomorrow. All right, folks, if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back on here tomorrow. Otherwise, same time, same place here on Sports Scope.